It was the morning of April 5th, 1995. A cool breeze drifted across Zuhi Beach near Tokyo, and the air felt charged with excitement. 11 close college friends, all between 17 and 20 years old, had gathered for the final day of their motor launch training. Today was special. For the first time, they were supposed to take the boat into the sea without their trainer. Everyone had a spark in their eyes. But fate had a different plan. Their instructor never showed up. Hours passed and their patience began to fade. Finally, Kenji, the boldest and oldest in the group, said, "Guys, how long will we wait? We know everything now. Let's just take a short ride." Hiroshi and a few others immediately objected. "No man, this is risky. We shouldn't go without the trainer." But excitement, youth, and the call of the sea eventually pulled everyone in the same direction. The engine roared to life and the boat sliced through the water smoothly. For the first 10 minutes, everything felt perfect. Laughter, sea breeze, and speed. No one realized how far they had drifted. When Hiroshi glanced back, the coast had shrunk into a faint line. Panic rose in his voice. "Kenji, turn back. We're way too far." But Kenji, lost in the thrill, ignored him and pushed the speed even more. 20 more minutes passed and the shoreline vanished completely. Fear settled in. At last, they agreed to head back. But the moment Kenji tried to turn the wheel, he discovered it was jammed. The brake didn't work either. Some unknown malfunction had taken full control away from them. Their faces turned pale. They couldn't stop the boat, and jumping into the deep ocean was impossible. It was nothing but endless blue in every direction. They tugged wires, checked every bolt, tried every trick they knew, but the boat refused to respond. It raced ahead like a runaway machine. Day faded into evening, the sun sank, and darkness wrapped around them. They had only a tiny amount of food and water, enough for a day or two at best. A few ropes, a large knife, and a couple of bottles were their entire stock. Night turned into day, and day again into night. The boat kept drifting until it finally ran out of fuel. When they woke up the next morning, the boat was still. But stillness brought no comfort. They were stranded in the middle of an endless ocean. No land, no mountains, no signs of life, just waves slapping against the hull. A day passed, then another, then another. The sun scorched them during the day, and the darkness swallowed them at night. Strange sounds echoed from beneath the water. Sometimes a giant fish or some unknown sea creature rammed against the boat, making them cling to each other in fear. On the fourth evening, the weather suddenly shifted. Black clouds gathered, and a violent storm crashed upon their tiny boat. Enormous waves tossed them around like a toy. For hours, death felt closer than life. But when morning finally broke, they saw something they could hardly believe. An island ahead of them. It felt like a dying man had been given breath again. With whatever strength they had left, they pushed the boat toward the shoreline. If they missed this chance, they knew they might never see land again. After 4 brutal days, their feet finally touched solid ground. They rushed inland, searching desperately for water, but found nothing. Then Kaido spotted a coconut tree. Using a rope from the boat, he climbed up and brought down coconuts. Their sweet water felt like pure life. Once they rested, the reality became clearer. They were stranded here. Kenji and Hiroshi stepped up to lead. Hiroshi, who loved reading survival books, explained, "If we want to get out of here alive, we need 3 things: shelter, a steady source of water, and most importantly, fire." There was a steadiness in his voice that gave the others courage. The first thing they did was tie the damaged parts of the boat securely to a large tree with their ropes, afraid the waves might drag it away. And in that moment, on an unfamiliar island, began a long battle between 11 boys and survival. Their first mission was to find a steady supply of fresh water. They knew coconuts wouldn't sustain them forever. For 2 days, they wandered through every corner of the island. Eventually, deeper inside the forest, they discovered a small spring. The sight of clean, sweet water brought tears to their eyes. They decided to build their first shelter right beside it. Using huge leaves and thick branches, they put together a weak, temporary hut, but it was enough to protect them from insects during the night. That first night, however, was terrifying. Strange, unsettling noises echoed from the jungle, keeping everyone awake. Every rustle felt like a wild animal stalking them in the darkness. They spent the entire night sitting close together, gripping each other's hands. Morning came, and with it the search for food. Hiroshi used the knowledge he had collected from his survival books to teach them which fruits and roots were safe. But before he could guide them properly, Yua grabbed a shiny, attractive fruit in his hunger and took a bite. Hiroshi shouted and made him spit it out. The fruit was poisonous. That day, they realized that the forest, despite its beauty, hid danger in every corner. Days kept passing, and life on the island was far from easy. Each sunrise brought a new challenge. One day, Daiki stepped on a sharp rock near the shore and sliced his foot badly. There were no medicines or bandages, only fear of infection. They washed the wound with water from the spring and wrapped crushed wild leaves around it. After this incident, Kenji gathered everyone and divided the responsibilities. He laid out a rule. Someone will fetch water, someone will look for food, and the rest will strengthen our shelter. But their biggest struggle remained one thing: making fire. A whole month went by. Each day they tried rubbing stones, scraping sticks, and twisting dry wood, but not a single spark appeared. Eating raw food was weakening them. They sharpened stones and shells to make tools: knives, spears, and crude blades. One afternoon, Kaido and Daiki succeeded in catching a large fish in shallow water using their handmade spear. After 9 long days, this was their first real victory. Even though they had to eat it raw, their faces glowed with a sense of achievement. With renewed hope, they used charcoal from the burnt wood of lightning-struck trees to sketch a rough map on the bark of a massive tree. They marked the spring, fruit trees, and dangerous zones. It was their first attempt at understanding their new world. One day, a broken plastic bottle washed up on the shore. Seeing it tore open all the emotions they had buried. It reminded them of home, of their families, of everything they had lost. They sat facing the ocean for hours, crying silently. As days went on, food shortages became a serious threat. It sparked a fierce argument between Ren and Takeshi, which almost turned into a fight. Kenji stepped in and stopped them. That same day, he made another rule. Whatever food we find will be divided equally, even if it's just a single bite. This rule eased the tensions building within the group. A few weeks later, a boy named Sawada fell gravely ill with fever. With no medicine, all they could do was care for him constantly, offering water, cooling his forehead with wet leaves, staying beside him day and night. After several days, he finally recovered. This incident taught them that in this jungle, their only true support was each other.